Hello, people. I'm kcStranger. These are my 3 high-fidelity, low-resolution players, and this is the Crystal Tomb. As always, the Crystal Tomb is brought to you by XSplit Broadcaster and by Tractor Blonda. Last time, the party met Skarn, captain of the Yarn Shredder, and sailed with him to the small island where they sought the ruined village of Istvar. Behold, on the screen, Istvar. Along the way, Colleen spoke with Levy about her interest in learning spellcasting. Quizmiligus shared stories with the captain, uncovering a new ability in the process. Landing on the island, the party hiked up into the mountain and found the last ruins of the village. Very little remained, though Kane and Colleen discovered the ruins of an old temple devoted to Sheena. And actually, Brave, I think you were away for that part. Kane had an x-ray ring going, so I told him that like underneath the earth that was on the floor, he could see the holy symbol there. And you were there with him,
wow.
so you know this as well. Quizmiligus also found a wall carving depicting a figure, indomitable, he believed, leading the people of the village away after having apparently slain many of them. Meanwhile, Kane asked Dom if he knew anything. Dom responded by leading the party to another ruined building, higher on the island's main peak, which sat next to a hot spring. He told them that if they would unearth memories best left forgotten, so be it. He then left for the ship, followed by Colleen and Kane. Colleen sought to get Indomitable to open up about his past and to convince him of apparently some good that she saw in him. As they walked, though, she realized the meaning behind his words and sent Kane back to the others with instructions to dig around the area. Kane left. Quiz summoned an earth elemental and uncovered a number of buried items. And Fowlin realized that these items roughly matched a ritual seeking power from Alkadir, except that the items should have been destroyed in that case. He reached out to Imra, who confirmed that the ritual had in fact succeeded, but that it had been performed unusually, as if to say, all these things I offer up, but to you I do not give them. We pick up as Quizmiligus has summoned a second earth elemental to carry the bones of a child that they dug up down the mountain. Current best guess is it's a half tiefling.
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
I did also.
Yeah,
How fucked up that is.
You totally. Well, I mean, so for the record, we're not going to pick up with you at the ship. So if you want to change course, you can. But that's totally what you did.
And I own
Let's
it.
continue this course. It's just we forgot it was a thing, and now it's right. We're just gonna get started off on a great beginning.
Yep. So Quiz, Kane, Fallon, Gmork, and I forget what you named the Earth Elemental, make their way down the peak against the backdrop of the setting sun. Colleen and Dom stand at the side of the ship, looking out over the water. Colleen, Dom finally turns his head to you and says, I'm gonna take a late dinner. Do you want anything?
What's around?
Just, he shrugs, whatever they have on the ship. Just some basic bread and salted meat, and that's what, some oranges, I think.
Come on, Dom. You're from this place. There has to be something that you enjoyed here.
I don't really feel like going back on the island for hunting and gathering at the moment.
Well, what was it?
He thinks for a moment. And then he shrugs and says, oh, there always used to be fishing. There were these interesting fruits, sort of like pears, but sweeter. Your friend found one back on the other island. And he thinks for a moment, besides that, just rice?
I wish I had one of those fruits.
Says, I think Fowlin picked one up on the other island.
I'll have to ask him about it. I love sweet things.
He sort of furrows his brow and nods at you and says, I'm gonna go get some dinner. He sort of pushes himself away from the rail and walks down to where the galley is, below decks.
I'll go with him.
Okay. You follow him down. He doesn't really say anything. When you get down, he just starts sort of pulling things out of cupboards. He pulls out they're sort of like wide, shallow bowls. Throws basically a biscuit, an orange, and some salted ham into it and slides it across the table to you. Does the same, makes similar but a bit larger portion for himself.
And what do you call this?
He looks at you and says, ship's rations.
Come on, Dom. Lighten up a little bit.
He looks at you and says, what are you trying to get at, Colleen?
Just you should have some fun.
He pauses at that. And then actually, you kind of stump him because you've stumped me. Finally, he just looks back at you and says, to what end?
Do you need a reason to enjoy yourself? Try something different. Add a spice to it. Do something different.
He thinks for a moment and then says, fair enough. Give me a second. He leaves carrying his plate with him. Comes back a short moment later, and he what clatters onto the table. Actually, no. He sort of drops a small, like very worn-looking brown leather pouch onto the table. Pulls two little strings on either side of it and dumps a dice set onto the table. And says, well, do you know how to play any of these games?
A dice game?
He nods.
What kind of game would that be?
He shrugs and says, come here, I'll show you. And I'm gonna sort of skip over the details because I don't want to try to invent a dice game just
That's
yet.
fine.
However, let me see here. I'm just going to say, just make a persuasion check, and this is just related to, like, you generally trying to get him to loosen up.
All right.
All right.
Well then.
So yeah, he shows you a simple game. Actually, you realize it's a bluffing game, as most dice games are, but you realize it wouldn't necessarily have to be a gambling game, which is what most of them are. And in fact, you don't actually wager anything. As you play, you watch as the sort of he's had kind of a dull seriousness in his eyes. Not listless by any means, not like unenergetic, just like deadpan almost. And as he shows you the game, you can almost see his mind reaching back to a long forgotten time, when he first learned this game, first played it with who knows who. You see just a slight spark maybe behind his eyes. You play for a time, you finish up your food, and then as you finish up a round, he finally says, that's quite enough of that is for me, I think. He starts gathering up his things and says, I'll be above decks. I'm going to tend to my weapons.
Well, did you have any fun at least?
He looks at you and says, not gonna say, and walks out.
I imagine he coyly smiles as he walks away.
You can imagine that. May or may not be accurate, but you can imagine that. And that's a genuine may or may not. It's not me trying to imply anything.
Well, Clean had fun.
Well, of course Clean did. Clean has fun with everything.
So,
This is true.
Quiz, Kane, the two of you, along with Fallon, Gamork, and I don't know, do we remember what the Earth Elemental was named? I'm not sure.
We'll
It was
call
some
it
sort of pun.
Hun?
I thought it was like Reginald or something.
Sure. Reginald.
All right.
That's
you.
Philip.
Oh yeah, it was Philip.
Oh, it was Philip. Yep.
I just pulled
Wow.
up in chat.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So, the sun has just barely set when you arrive at the ship. You're getting to where you'd about be ready to board. It's high enough up that you could see Dom from a distance. It's currently blocking line of sight between you. Like, again, just barely tall enough to manage that, basically. It's like a small sailing ship, but still a proper sailing ship. Quiz, as you approach, you realize that you've got about a minute before the time limit on your Earth Elemental elapses.
Oh boy. Are we almost to the ship, you said?
Yeah, you're looking at it. So, like, if you board immediately, you're the Elemental can carry your cargo up, but it'll disappear shortly after you get up there.
We can board immediately, and then he can disappear.
Okay.
I have a spell slot left, so we can do that again, if we need to.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just gonna have Philip kind of set the box. Where do I see Dom as I come up?
So actually, as you come up, you see sort of on the other. So you're coming up sort of the long part of the ship. Sure. So just across the width of it and a bit to your left, towards the back of the ship, is where Dom is. And as you come up, he sort of looks up and, without really gesturing, sort of acknowledges you all with his eyes.
I don't look at him.
Okay. Where do you set the? Did you take the ruins of the casket down as well?
Yeah, I was hoping to just be carrying a chest.
Okay, so I mean, mind you, it's pretty rotten.
Yeah.
Like, it was clearly well preserved at the time to have lasted as well as it did, but it's in bad shape. So, like, there are going to be like holes in it and stuff like that that make it fairly clear what's inside of it, even though it is still functioning as a box in like a generic sense.
I am not trying to hide it from him in any way.
Mm-hmm. but
Um,
it sounds like you might not be taking it particularly close to him either.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no. I actually don't want to address him at all.
Okay. You come up to the ship. I imagine, somewhere like reasonably away from the edge where there's a clear space. You just set it down.
I also don't want it to be too far from where we can get off the ship.
Okay, so maybe just like 5-10 feet from where you boarded.
Yeah. And do I see the captain in anywhere close to us?
Let me think. He is. You do not see him now. You do know that he's got his own cabin below decks. It's where he took you. Like there's there's like a again, everything's kind of small on the ship, but there are actually 2 rooms to it. One where he sort of pulled out his maps, and you talked about that, and then a smaller one that's actually his quarters. So he could be down. He's probably down there somewhere.
Do I see any crew anywhere? Does he have
Yeah. So you see, actually, just Zykos is the only other one who's above ship. He's tending to something. You're not quite sure.
I want to stay by the box and call Zykos over.
Okay. You hail him. He says, "Oh, just a sec." He comes over. You see him sort of stop a little bit as he realizes what's at your feet. But he recovers and says, "Can I help you?" Oh no, actually, first he would say, "Welcome back. Do you need anything?"
Don't mind the box. It won't be here for long.
He
I need you
nods.
to tell the captain we're not yet ready to leave. And I'd like you to fetch Colleen for me.
Okay, will do. Just a sec. He,
So what's the plan here, Quiz?
I don't care. Dom clearly doesn't care about this. Based on a conversation I had with Colleen earlier, I'm interested to see how she feels about this. And then,
what do you think this is?
Kane, we recently discovered you had a child, yes?
Yes, this was a thing.
Okay. How do you feel about kids, children, families?
Like mixed feeling would be the best way I could put it. Unsure. Developing.
I was very close to living a very comfortable life in Spiru when things changed. This kind of life where I had someone and we started a family, and that was really all I wanted for years. After I met Ella. When Ella left, my life changed, and I went on this adventure and met you all and died once. I'm still bitter about.
It gets better. You know, having died myself, it's kind of, you know.
But my point here is, Kane, is I was willing to traverse the world that terrified me to no end to find someone I cared and loved about. Travel across plains, fight ugly, horrible, terrible monsters. And this man decided to rid himself of the people he hopefully loved. Is that someone you want near us, around us, near items of great power, in positions to recruit followers? Is that someone you want in the world, Kane?
Recruit followers? Wait, did you mention that before?
I don't think I told you that.
Okay. Recruit followers. I mean, we don't know exactly who. I'm just wondering what your fans, I guess. Like, I don't know who. Like, this could be. Not saying that everything we just discovered wasn't like the worst.
It wouldn't
awful.
take
So we
too
don't-
long to fetch Colleen from below deck. So Colleen, assuming that you would have just said sure when Zykos came to fetch you, you would appear above decks at this moment.
Hey,
I
guys.
stopped talking at that point.
How was your adventure?
Ooh,
Fruitful.
it's a loaded question.
Hurtful?
Fruitful.
Fruitful. Did you find any fruit?
Quiz looks at you very confused.
Actually, Fowlin at this point will say, there was that one from the other island. Let me see if Fallon actually has that. I probably should have been checking on that.
Colleen,
actually, he doesn't. So he'll say, let me see. I don't think any of us is a fruit. Kane, are you a fruit?
Nope,
That is the Fallon
not a
thing.
fruit.
All right, go ahead.
Colleen, when we found the drawing of Dom, or who we're believing to be Dom, you remember the conversation we had?
Believe I understand what you're saying.
I asked you that when the time came, would you be ready to stand against Dom, and you told me no. And I accepted that for the time because you were correct. We didn't have all the answers. And to stand here before you, I'll be honest, we still don't. However, I brought you something that I'd like your opinion on.
Okay. What is it?
Around the place Dom took us, which I'm assuming was his dwelling for that part of his life, we found a series of dig spots. Places where things have been placed. We found a name.
I'll throw the set of the items in the
Yeah,
chat.
please, thank you.
Yep.
I'm gonna list the items we found, excluding the two, what we're assuming to be his family's bodies.
Okay.
And then we found two more. One with a mature tiefling woman, buried by herself, no wounds that we could make out. And in the center of all this, we discovered this, and I'm gonna open the box. And there's the tiefling,
Half tiefling.
half tiefling child. And I'm gonna refresh Roll20 because everyone has froze with an ugly face.
Interesting. Can I make like a medicine check to see if I would know how it died, kind of thing?
I was doing nature for this, but yep.
I can do either. Which would you prefer?
Nature.
Huh.
Yeah, you look at it, you do notice some odd deformities on its skeleton. I mean, nothing like intense, just like sort of knots and nodules that would speak to probably some kind of medical condition. But to say how it died, you really can't say. And actually, as you're concluding this investigation, Skarn emerges onto the deck with Zykos behind him. He'll sort of see you all huddled over this, have sort of a... and actually, wait, we've got a
We have a
Radiclus.
Fallon.
Yo, dog.
Tell me,
Hey.
did you bring any fruit?
What kind of fruit?
The kind that you promised me.
You found something called a Kyrski fruit on the other island. I don't know that you kept it.
Let me...
I did check your inventory for it and did not see it.
I remember finding some weird flowers.
Yeah, you found that was back in the Feywild, I think, right? Because you found some of that herb. herb.
Yeah, I don't think I don't remember keeping a fruit.
I am disappointed.
I am disappointed.
So, Fallon, just to catch you up quickly on what happened, Colleen and Dom had another moment, and the rest of you came down from the mountain. Sun is now set. Quiz carried the young, like the baby half tiefling's skeleton down to the ship. His earth elemental's now disappeared, and you've just been sort of talking over that. He asked to have Colleen and the captain brought up, and the captain has now just come up, and you're all just sort of standing around. All right, so Skarn approaches all of you. If you're paying attention, you see his eyes sort of flit down to the skeleton, and then flit over towards Quiz, and he says, "I heard you wanted to talk to me."
I just wanted you to know we're not quite ready to leave yet. Don't mind this, it won't be staying aboard.
He nods and says, "I won't ask. Was there anything else?"
No, thank you.
He nods and says, "All right, well," he looks around and says, he nods over towards Zykos. "Do you mind if he stays above decks just to look over things? He can stand over there if he needs to," and he points sort of towards the far end of the ship, where like the main like steering deck is.
Whatever he needs to do.
Says, "All right, well, I was thinking of casting off tonight just to make better time to wherever it is you're going, but fetch me when you're ready."
It won't be much longer.
He nods, says, "All right." He waves, he nods over to Zykos. Zykos sort of goes, and he was doing some kind of maintenance, something before, maybe you're not sure, but he sort of moves whatever he was doing towards the far end of the ship.
Alkaline? Thoughts?
Can I discern how old this body is?
Generically, like a baby.
I mean, like, how long ago it
Oh, that kind of old. On a 9 nature, I will say very old.
very old. Like
To the point.
centuries.
Okay, like to the point where centuries are like a rounding error. Well, okay, maybe a little bit more than that, but like this is definitely based on, what you know of the subject. You're presuming this is by far the oldest skeleton that you've ever seen.
So this is
Thinking.
awkward.
Quiz is just watching Colleen think, waiting for a response.
Well, something I've never quite done before, but maybe we can give it a shot.
Do what? What are you doing? What's being done?
Are you
Don't worry
trying
about
to
it.
resurrect this? Or do your necromancer whatever to this?
It might be possible.
I
Why?
mean, this is a child. I'm gonna put it back-ish.
I mean, I can't tell how it died, but children are innocent and deserve a chance at life. You can't just put an unfortunate soul in front of me and expect me not to try to help it, especially if it can help us figure out what we're doing here.
But that's
So
my
you wanna-
point, Colleen. The person who put this child in the grave is the very person you claimed you'd want to protect.
You don't know that.
There was the whole thing. There was lots of. It had a very much sacrificial ritual vibe to it. Fallon. It was He called in. What was that?
Is
Guy's
Dom
name?
sitting right there?
No, he's not here.
Oh no,
Oh.
he's on the deck.
He's like a
He's
cross
just
deck.
yeah, like he's a distance from you. He's watching you all whisper to each other, but and I'm like presuming that you're talking in
Imra.
hushed tones so that he can't easily hear, even though I'm not gonna like make you all whisper right now.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't he recognize the box if it was something that he had done?
You might presume that. That's a conclusion you could draw.
I wouldn't expect him to.
But
That's me.
I was saying it's like Fallon was managed to bring Imra in, and this was definitely some Alkadir ritual sacrificial stuff.
Balance
But
it.
not
Yeah,
quite
that's
to
his
the
kid.
What hasn't been
Say
an
hello to Julia.
Alkadir ritual?
Yeah, but the point is that the only person who could have pulled this off who would be Dom.
Well, Kane, tell me that you've never made a sacrifice.
I mean, I haven't sacrificed people.
Ah,
or
Fallon sold
things.
his soul to a demon. Fallon killed his
Cool.
mother. He's lost
Whoa!
someone
Why do
very
you got to
close.
drag me into this?
I mean,
Colleen, God, I thought we were friends. And the soul selling was an accident, I'm pretty sure.
you just were talking about
And I gave myself an out,
innocence.
a loophole. And I did it for a good cause, not to get power. And she was a very mean mom.
She was trying to kill us actively.
It was kind of self-defense.
But I mean, if this is what it looks like it is, then he just killed his family?
Well,
Fallon
you don't
says,
know what it is.
I don't think this baby had much in the way of defending itself against your pal over there, who definitely did this.
All you have
I
is
mean-
speculative evidence. There's nothing.
I mean,
Speculative.
there's speculative evidence.
He literally said, if we dig, we'd find what he did. We dug, we found what he did. Here it is.
That is true. He is the one that pointed us to digging.
Are you so taken with this clearly evil person that you're blind?
Why would he give any reason for that discovery, that information, if he didn't want us to know about it?
Because he doesn't care. And that's
Dom,
the point.
Dom, hey,
He
come here.
doesn't care.
You're calling him over.
Yes.
I agree with this.
All right. All right. So he's been polishing that dagger that he just got. He looks up as you call for him. Like slowly, but not dragging his feet. He sort of puts his things away. He comes over. Fallon, he's pretty much just like looking you straight in the eye. One of the rather few people who actually looks significantly down towards you as well. But he comes over and says, "Yes."
We're hoping you can settle an argument for us.
Hmm.
You did tell us to dig up things to find what your past was, right?
He shrugs and says, I said what I said.
Right. Would you say that that's maybe your dead child over there? Point to it.
He looks down. Insight, anyone who wants to, as he looks down at it.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Does
Yes,
Colleen
yes.
still not roll insight checks as a rule?
I still don't roll insight checks.
16. 19.
What is this roll,
Oh.
Kane?
God.
Yeah. So again,
It's persisting.
yeah, that's weird. It's all right. I mean, I'll just read them left to right, like. Yeah. So all three of you actually like. Oh, I will say this: none of the three of you detect any discernible change in his expression as he looks down at it.
You
Moreover,
went to 16?
Fowlin, you don't even detect any kind of like forcedness to that. There's no sign that he bears any personal attachment to what he's looking at. Okay, and actually, I'm sorry, remind me what you asked him.
To this kid.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 He looks back at you and says, I'm quite content with he looks down at Gamork, 5 of you drawing whatever conclusions you like. Is there
What does
anything else?
Gamork see? What does Gamork see? You rolled a 19.
Oh, yeah,
Maybe
that's
it's
right.
you with
I
your
meant to
dog
say
and
you.
stuff.
No. It's Gamork of all of you who like doesn't sense any shift at all. No particular emotion. No him trying to hold something back. He's placid.
I mean, it has been hundreds or however long years,
It has.
and clearly, if he was already willing to do this, he's a cold-hearted bastard.
He's probably over it.
Right? Not wouldn't suspect some giant emotional outcry.
Well,
I'm
can
a
you tell us,
monster.
did anyone else conduct that mess that we dug up back there? Was that your doing?
Kane, give me persuasion.
All right, guys. I got this.
Wish I would have helped. Persuasion's
go.
my thing.
Oh shit.
20?
Wait, really? Okay. On a 20, sure.
Yes.
He looks at you and he says, how long do you intend to keep asking me about this?
Probably until we get an answer.
If I give you an answer, will you promise to leave me alone on the subject?
I look
I
at the
don't.
others.
Yes, we do.
Nope.
Sure.
I do.
I mean, I'll kind of tell me everything I need to know, really.
Yeah, that'll pretty much answer most of our questions.
That's 80% of your character arc, so we're gonna be good after that.
He's writing a novel. Pay no attention to him.
Quiz is taking notes. I'm just kidding.
He looks over at Colleen. He looks back at the rest of you. Says, and try to get her to calm down about it.
Clean. Calm down. How do you
He
do this?
he nods, and finally he says, I was the son of a harbor worker who lived in the far west of the backwoods. As soon as I could, I left home. I became a bounty hunter. I wandered around a lot. Finally, I came here. I met a woman. Her name was Elena. We became lovers. Elena led a splinter group that broke off from the followers of Sheena. We had an interest in the vestiges. We worked to track them down together. We occasionally took excursions away for such things. One time, she remained home while I was gone. I came back. I found 3 men of the village in the act of violating her. No doubt you found their bodies jumbled together. After I took care of that, he thinks for a moment about his words, had a realization. And what you saw is the aftermath of that. Good enough?
No. I don't know what the realization is, so I don't know what the aftermath is.
As soon as he's done, Quiz is going to use his last spell slot and summon an Earth Elemental with my last spell slot, whom I will call Penelope.
Okay.
And have Penelope close the casket and carry the body back down to shore with the commands to walk as far in as it can get, ish, within reason, and dig a new grave and put it back.
All right.
Well,
he
you answered the question, so I'll leave it there. No follow-ups for me.
He looks at you, Fallon. Is there something further that I could clarify?
The revelation.
He nods. He thinks for a moment. Lena and I had sought to control the vestiges. In that moment, looking at the 3 I had just killed, my maimed lover lying on the ground, my child screaming in the other room, I pieced together all the bits and scraps of lore that we had put together. I solved the puzzle that we had been working for years to solve. And I enacted the solution.
Right. Okay. So you see, Colleen, he did kill his child for no reason.
Well, I'm really not comfortable with the way he said solution, but
Oh,
Fallon
that was
laughs
just
out loud.
uncomfortable.
Fallon laughs out loud.
As they're having this conversation, Quiz is going to go find the captain and walk away.
Well done.
As you start to walk away, he says simply, "Just know, I may withhold, but I don't tell lies." And he just turns and walks back towards his weapons and gets back to work polishing that dagger. Quiz. You go below decks to find the captain. You, I presume, probably look for him first just in his quarters. You find the door hanging ajar, sort of knock on it a little bit, and you hear him call back to, "Yep."
Sorry about that awful sight you had to endure.
Hmm,
It was a conversation we had to have, an unfortunate conversation.
fair enough. I presume you, well, it looked quite old. I didn't presume that you'd done anything.
No, no, and I had it returned to where it came from. It's no longer on your ship.
Good
I
enough?
do apologize. However, uh, we are ready to leave. So whenever you and your men are ready, it's fine by us.
All right, we'll get things underway. I think Zykos has been preparing it so that we can be ready to go, should only take a minute or two.
Thank you.
He, at this point, he comes up and opens the door fully and says, "You're welcome. We hadn't actually discussed your next destination, I think. Or actually, no, you totally had. I forgot." So he says, "All right, we'll cast off now."
Thank you very much, Captain. It's much appreciated.
Nods, you've been more or less well behaved so far. Happy to help.
Oh, give us time. Give us time.
He smiles. A little bit, I don't know what the word quite is, world weary, but he smiles. um, the rest of you, anything in particular while this is going on? I know he sort of
Oh yeah,
cut short a
yeah.
conversation.
Gonna kind of Kins is gonna, as Quizzly is kind of cross his arms with the clean. He's like, well, thoughts?
I think I need to have a conversation with Dom.
I get the feeling you're not gonna get much out of that. But good luck. Keep us in the loop. And Kins is
Feel
gonna go
like
below deck.
anyone would be defensive if a group of people were asking them about the private interests.
You mean like baby killing? Yeah, I
love
could
Donald
see
so
that.
much.
I wouldn't run around telling everybody about my precious hobby of baby killing.
Given the circumstances, I feel like a certain amount of curiosity is warranted.
Exactly. Curiosity is fine. I support that. It's if he really had a problem with it, he could very easily leave us, harm us. There's a lot of possibility, and he has not chosen any aggression in that way. So
Like I say, I don't know, I'm not in the same page as Quiz, but I feel a certain amount of caution given what we don't know, what we do know.
Well, if you're gonna run off and talk to old BK, just make sure keep him away from young people, and don't turn your back unless you mean to. Wink, wink.
All right. So yeah, I imagine you all sort of like loosely disperse, go about your business. Skarn and Zykos both sort of do the final bit to, pull up anchor, do shippy things, and finally cast off. For a time, Skarn is at the helm, sort of watching the stars and making sure that you're heading on the right course. If anyone stays above decks, you would see the island, um, you know, fairly quickly start to fade into the distance, given how dark it is. Also, sort of a a light rain starts, not quite enough to force you to duck for cover, but you know, everything gets a little damp. And we fade into night. Anyone have anything in particular before you go to sleep?
Gonna try to dock to Dom again. But...
Yeah, no, sorry. I was just gonna say I'm gonna spend some time working on my book.
Okay. I mean, anything in particular with relation to that, or are you just continuing to write?
Just continuing to write, just so everyone's keeping track. We are now battling the zombies in the courtyard before we went down into the dungeon where we met Dom. So that's the part he's working on tonight.
Cool, cool. Colleen, for your part, you know, it starts to rain fairly quickly, actually, after you cast off. So Dom sort of senses it coming, packs up his things, and moves to go below decks. Do you want to approach him as he's going down? Do you want to wait and see where he goes first?
I'll just follow him below deck to wherever he's going.
Okay. He walks down. You follow him. He doesn't acknowledge your presence. He goes to one of the two small rooms where that y'all are sort of bunking in, if you will. Sets his things back by his area, and then actually, let me see here. He turns and just moves as if he's gonna lie down. Does notice you and pause for a moment.
Dom, could you tell me about the Black Iron?
He sighs and says, "If I tell you that, will you leave me alone on it?"
I'm not here to reprimand you. I just want to understand how you got to be here from that point.
Roll persuasion. Fine. It was my last name. Good enough? My family used to be, even at the time I was alive. My family was kind of a thing, important enough to have that. I kept it with me until that day.
And why did you do it? I mean, I understand that the course that the two of you shared together was not the direction you wanted to go after your revelation, but why did you choose what you did?
I will give you an answer, and then you will stop asking. Understood?
I can't guarantee that.
Then no answer. And he rolls over and just lies down.
Then I'm not leaving.
Fine, stay.
Oh boy.
I will.
Okay. And you know what? Actually, real quick, I'm just gonna randomly say who's in what room. So what? We've got Fouling plus Gamork, who are probably... Actually, I don't know. How would you guys have split? Like, assuming that for sake of space, you would generally want to divide roughly evenly.
Whichever room Dom's not in is Quiz's position.
Yeah, who specifically wants to avoid being in the same room as Dom? I'll put it that way.
Hold on. Are you saying? I didn't understand. Are there not enough rooms for us all to have separate rooms in the boat?
No, they're not. You have two rooms.
Can Fallon sleep on the deck?
I mean, it's raining right now, but you could.
Fallon sleeps on the deck. Seems like something he would do.
All right.
What my character would do.
How very broody of you.
All right. So I guess I imagine Kane and Quiz are in one room, and so I guess.
Dom.
What? Okay. Yeah.
Kane isn't in my room with Dom.
All right. So yeah. So D69
Kane?
indeed.
Yeah, works in there hotboxing you guys with dog farts.
Okay.
Setting the mood.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess Colleen, you can continue to wait there. Fallon, and Dom ignores you and eventually falls asleep.
I will still sit happily and patiently, cross-legged, just hanging out.
Are you remaining
Please.
awake or are you eventually sleeping yourself?
I mean, I only have to meditate for a couple hours.
That's true. You can probably fit it in while he's asleep. Okay. All right. So they're sleeping
Just
together
like-
in an unusual arrangement.
Wait, so during this time, at some point, Kane's gonna be like, Colleen, could you at least just like stop looking at us or something?
Okay,
Wait.
there was another room.
Yeah, I thought you were in the other
I
room.
claimed I've been in this room since we started the journey. You want me to leave my room because you would have.
This is your.
Kane just turns back to
Oh
sleep.
wait, I'm sorry. I thought you were not in the same room as Dom. You're in the same room as Dom?
He
Yeah.
said he didn't mind being in the room with Dom.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, sure. This is totally happening. Go ahead.
This is my. I claimed this room. Y'all. I feel like just at least I don't know. Be less weird about it.
Just roll over, Kane.
Roll over. Roll over.
Kane's just gonna go to sleep, just mumbling to himself. Like weird dead people. Yeah.
All right.
Go.
Okay. Yeah, so with that then, I think that's everybody. Apologies for this. I need to go to the bathroom again. But we will pick up with tomorrow morning when I get back.
Like I'm just picturing Kling just sitting there staring aggressively at Dom, like while he's asleep.
Not aggressively,
just
kind
like-
of just like happily rocking kind of thing. Just hanging out,
But I-
thinking to myself.
But I feel like without like the lights on, or even just like one light on, that looks super creepy.
Oh yeah, I guess that
Holy
would be
shit.
creepy because I have dark vision, just chilling there in the dark.
And Kane's just like, stop it, please.
Meanwhile, Quiz is just enjoying this big room to himself.
I'm just thinking, isn't Fallon in there?
No,
No,
Fallon's sleeping on
Fallon's
the
sleeping.
deck.
In the rain.
Oh,
In the broody ranger.
how did we end up with the halfling getting his own room?
I'm the only one he chose to go in the other room.
Wait a second.
How's your town going? Brave.
Beautifully. Except for it's only my second day, but I've done literally everything I can possibly do.
Yeah. I let Jess my wife do all the like big stuff. Because she doesn't like the grindy parts. So like right now I'm making a bunch of fish bait to catch the rare fish.
Are y'all playing Animal Crossing?
Yeah.
Like how you immediately figured it out.
It took me a
Like-
second because I've never played the game, but
I'm
I've
so
seen
far
ads.
ahead right now that my second house isn't even done yet, so I don't have the loan due yet, but I already have the 200,000 to pay off the loan
Oh, wow, nice.
because I've literally been playing all day, just going to new islands and mining everything and selling it.
I've been playing Doom Eternal.
I don't know what that is.
It's the other game that came out that it's either that or
Oh,
Animal Crossing.
Doom, gotcha. I thought you said Tomb Eternal, and I was like, Tomb Raider Eternal? Okay.
All right, sorry about that. I'm back.
I loved it. You didn't even autocorrect it for yourself. too maternal. He's got to be serious about that. Sorry.
Oh no worries.
Brave believes you.
All right. I guess let's go ahead and get back into it. All right. So you all sleep. Again, of course, any long resty stuff, go ahead and do it now. You wake up the next morning. You share breakfast as the day before. Over breakfast, Skarn explains that it's going to be about 3 days until you get where you're going. So, just to sort of remind you on the map real quick, your journey is roughly like this. So, unfortunately, sailing ships are not as fast as dragons. So about 3 days. And actually,
I miss Tavrith. Is Clean just sitting there those whole 3 days?
How old is this picture? When was this done?
this is all the way back the first time you went to the Tower of Venice after you left Dale's Harbor the first time.
I can highlight that and delete it, so I think it was me.
Yeah. Well, remember, you actually, what was his name? You had an
Terry.
octopus briefly. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Terry.
Oh my goodness, octopus.
Yeah, Quiz, you're not the first one to give fun names to the animals or creatures. Terry the giant octopus.
And I can tell it's an old map because I forgot to move the picture to the map layer and delete the grid lines. So, or I didn't think to, like, I wasn't doing that back then because it was like
What a scrub.
2 years ago or something stupid. No, more than that. It was like 3 years ago. Anyways, all right. So yeah, he explains you've got a bit of a trip ahead of you. Shortly after breakfast, Colleen, you are approached by Levy, who comes up to you and says, "Hey, Colleen, do you have a moment?"
Sure, Levy. What's going on?
So we talked about magic the other day. Remember that?
Yes.
Right. Well,
Having any luck?
What's that?
Having any luck with that?
Well, you asked me to think about what my reasons were before you'd show me anything. So I did. And, well, to tell you the truth, here's what I came up with, I guess. I honestly don't want to leave Bisirna. I just want to help out how I can around the village. I'm not a great fighter. I don't have any talent for what the priests do. When I was little, Skarn told me about people in other lands who learn magic through hard work and study, and that sounded like maybe a way I could make myself useful. I couldn't leave the island, or else she sort of looks generically up at the sky. They might find me. But you've seen how the Sahuagin attack from time to time. I'm not asking for much, just a nudge in the right direction. I'll figure the rest out, and I'll be careful. And, that's the best I've got.
I think that's a great reason. Pursuit of knowledge and to protect that you care about is very noble. What would you like to know?
Well, I've heard that there are just basic spells that can be learned that might be useful. I mean, I'm asking you because I really don't know very much, and she sort of looks around. It'll have to be safe for a novice to try out on a ship, of course, but, I don't know. I was hoping you could just point me in, just teach me a thing or two, and she thinks for a moment. I don't know if you've got a spare wand or anything like that, but I'd be happy to buy it off of you.
Just a second. I will give her the ebony wand that's got the spider nest and tendrils throughout it.
Okay.
The one that gives the charisma save to give advantage.
Yep.
I think that would be very useful.
She looks at it and says, Oh, this doesn't seem basic. How much would I owe you for this?
Oh, nothing, dear. It's fine. I've since outgrown it. I think it'll be a great place for you to start, as it was one of my first starting ones.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anything she looks at it special about it?
Well, yes. So, I guess what we'd want to teach you is a spell that we can direct at a target. As using this wand, it will make it easier for your companions to connect with the same target should you ever be stuck in that situation.
I see. Um, she levied thinking for a moment. Does it have to be alive?
Um, does the target have to be alive?
Right.
I believe, I've never tested it on anything not living, to be
Give me an
totally
Arcana check.
frank. I mean, out of character, it has to make a charisma save, and I don't think non-living things can make charisma saves, but
Yeah, but go ahead and
you know.
give me a check. Okay, yeah. It's one of those things where you can still attempt to cast the spell. You can kind of go through the motion. It's kind of like what? Like I want to say training with practice swords, but it's even more far removed from that. It's kind of like swinging a stick, like a small stick around in an attempt to simulate sword fighting. It's not going to
Uh-huh.
be the same thing, but like you can still give Levy the basic idea of how to make it work, even without a proper target.
Yeah.
Like if you could drum up some rats to torture or something like that, that would be better. But
Just torture the rats.
How many rats you want?
oh shit, I forgot about that.
Oh man. How many can you make?
A lot. He can make a
Wait.
lot.
Can he conjure up a swarm of rats?
Yes.
Wait, I don't think I made that an option. Or did I?
Sorry,
Gave
I was
him
grabbing a
swarming
snack, but
abilities before. I don't remember the specific of it.
yeah, I was also thinking of like making Gamort turning into a shark and offering a shark.
Right.
But yes,
Sharknado.
if you would like some rats,
You know, between the two of you, you could probably make Sharknado a real thing.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I don't know, Colleen, are you seeking creative methods of finding like practice spellcasting targets or
Yeah, why not?
okay.
Let's get creative.
So I'll say you go and mention your predicament to Fallon. Fallon, thoughts?
do you want what kind of creatures are you looking for?
Well, this is not to say that I approve of animal testing, but surely you have some kind of pest? Says hesitantly.
I feel like my animals have gotten smaller. Well, my list of animals, because there was like swarms and stuff on here before, because I remember thinking about getting like the bunch of the poisonous snakes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I swear they were on here.
You
Because I
know,
was like, I
let
remember waffling one time, like, man, should I cast one big snake or a bunch of these little snakes?
right. Let me just double check the rules on the spell and
Or
make sure.
maybe I was looking at. I swear I had
Well, I
the.
mean, so you can normally conjure like 8 of something if it's CR0. Like you could make
Yeah, but there was like literally like a swarm of something or this many snakes, like poisonous snakes.
yeah, just a
No,
second. Let me check something. Oh, that's funny. I think Google's been listening to me. Okay, yeah. Technically, you are restricted to individual beasts. No, seriously, I just literally typed in "can conjure and then it was like, can conjure animals, summon swarms."
I guess. Okay, maybe it says giant poisonous snake, and it's a 1/4 challenge rating.
Yeah, but you also
So
just
that
like, oh, okay, yeah. So you could make 8 of those, 16 if Gamork joined in.
would like 8 giant poisonous snakes work?
So long as they're under your control during the testing period, we don't want anything getting out of hand for the beginners.
Right. All right. Sure.
Yeah, for what it's worth, if you wanted to summon something weaker, you totally could. I don't think I bothered to put the weak options.
Well,
on there.
I'll do the 8 giant poisonous snakes.
Okay,
but,
because
you know,
like the other option would be just 8. Like, I think there's a normal poisonous snake. Yeah,
I'm not planning to have them attack back or anything.
right. I'm just saying you could just summon a normal poisonous snake rather than a giant one. Do you want the giant one? It's the difference between tiny and medium. So like a creature about the size of you all on this ship, like 8 of them, giant poisonous snakes, or you can summon like normal sized snakes.
Yeah,
The
no, the
giant
giant
snakes.
ones. The giant ones.
Okay.
Hey, we gotta build up our confidence somehow.
All right.
And Fallon, I'll roll performance, but Fallon's like, oh no, 8 giant snakes. Who shall save us from this peril? Please, young mage. I say, I point to her walking.
Oh my gosh.
Kane's just gonna sit back and like just some like airplane peanuts and just watch.
You see Skarn actually was starting to come was like about to disappear below decks as this is happening. You see him look back at all of you and sort of freeze for a moment, look across all of you. Levy smiles very sheepishly.
Fallon gives him a wink and a grin. His
I
most
told you to
winning
give us
grin.
time, Scott.
Wait, what'd you say? I'm sorry.
Said I told you give us time. It's only gonna get weird.
He like does a micro nod and then just turns and keeps going back down. All right, so let me just ask this all at once. Colleen, you're gonna have 3 days. How much of the 3 days are you willing to put into teaching Levy?
All of it.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me 3 Arcana checks.
Kane's going to eavesdrop and try and learn magic.
Okay, Kane, also give me an Arcana check. With
Just one?
yeah, just one. With disadvantage because you're just. Oh no, actually no, just give me 1 Arcana check.
I would say you don't need disadvantage. Like just on Kane. See?
Okay. All right. Wow.
I feel
okay.
like this is like the progression because I want to teach her like a 1, 2, and 3rd level spell.
Well, so you're not going to be able to teach her 3rd level spells this quickly. She is going
That's
to.
why the Arcana's all low.
Right. Levy is going to be limited to low level stuff. That being said, let me see. Yeah, actually, you know what? No, I take that back. From among the spells you know, please choose 3 cantrips and 3 first level spells that you can teach Levy. If you need a moment to decide on that, I can go to somebody else real quick.
Frostbite.
All right.
Minor
Frostbite.
Minor illusion.
and Toll the Dead.
All right.
To be clear,
And-
Frostbite's the one you always miss, right?
Yes. Then the signature ice knife.
Brilliant.
Let's do Actually, floating disc would be really neat, even though I've never used it myself. I
Okay.
think it'd be fun for to have.
All right.
And then Ray of Sickening.
Okay. So yeah, over the course of these 3 days, when you're not irritating Dom, you're spending a lot of time working with Levy, who actually picks up on things fairly quickly. Like you actually realize, like, Levy, as much as when you first met Levy, she seemed a bit like flighty about it almost. She becomes quite serious as she's working through this. Really listens to everything you say and seems to have kind of a knack for it. And by the end of the 3 days, she is going to be a 2nd level wizard.
I'm so proud. I hope Dom gets secretly jealous that this is like my child.
All you gotta do is kill her now.
Meanwhile, I have a bunch of zombies just hanging about.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Forgot about that. That's funny. All right. Okay, so I do want to take a quick moment now,
Technically,
and
she could have used my zombies as targets, but
yeah,
yeah.
but something could go wrong. Then you'd be down zombies and ghouls.
Yeah, those are.
Also, just intimidation, man. Intimidation. All right, cool. So let me see here. Well, actually, why don't we do this? I'll just start with Colleen. So, Colleen, you have 3 days. You're spending a large portion of it helping Levy, but Levy's also helping her out around the ship. You're not taking every minute of the day doing that. Anything else that you want to use this 3 days for?
Harassing Dom,
Okay.
trying to get him to enjoy himself, but also not be such a grump.
You know what? Just let me see here. Roll 3 persuasion checks and 1 performance check for harassment.
I'm rolling pretty decent tonight.
All right. So, you the first day he's bristly with you. Just, well, I mean, not in a direct way, more in just a like not like acting like you don't exist or anything like that, but like very much not engaging. But on the 2nd day, you convince him to play some dice with you again, and even to like, and by the 3rd day, you actually manage to get him to engage in casual conversation about things that have been going on, which
Oh my
seems
god.
like a milestone. He still is like perpetually grumpy with you, but yeah, Fallon, I see you.
I don't.
Yeah, it might have been a whisper. But
Oh.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things where you feel like something of what you're doing is getting through to him.
I'm satisfied with that.
So it's just like every night, Colleen's just doing the same thing.
I mean, presumably not exactly the same thing, but more or less.
All right. At some point, he's gonna be like, "At least stop rocking." Like, for the love of God. Yes, still.
All right, quiz. You looking to use your 3 days for anything?
Yeah. Work on the book.
All right. have quite a bit of time for that if you want to.
Yeah, I don't think that's everything I want to do.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Definitely. I think Quiz is going to get to the point where he's writing about them fighting the zombie beholder thing.
Okay.
And I think he tries to write about dying but can't. So I think he gives up. So I think that's just the first day.
Okay.
He's definitely going to be amused at Colleen teaching this girl magic for a bit. But mostly, I just kind of want to watch Dom and see what he does. You know, over the course of the days, just keep an eye on him from afar.
Okay. Let me see here. How much extra effort are you making to like put yourself in proximity? Because it's the kind of thing where, like, if you go too far out of your way, it gets kind of obvious. So, like, how far are you pushing that?
Not hiding it, but definitely like when they're in the same area, I'm paying extra attention.
Okay. In that case, go ahead and let's just do it this way. Just give me 3 insight checks.
There we go.
Okay. The first day, you've seen him a few times. It's not a large ship. You run into each other a fair amount. You continue to fail to detect any particular reaction to having gone back to this place that's very meaningful to him. And even as he, on the second day, sort of clean, sort of like, you can call it pestering him. You see him sort of breaking just a little bit under that, but by and large, still remaining very disciplined about it. And the conclusion that you draw after all this is just that, it is, you realize how old he is, and you think about what that must mean. So, it's well known that like humans, which are one of the shorter lived races, tend to be very adaptable. And especially when you start talking about like older dwarves, the very old elves, like sure, they carry a lot of wisdom and insight, but they tend to be very set in their ways. And you can imagine for Dom seeing how he seems to be under some sort of like blessing or enchantment or something like that that makes him just literally not age. You realize he must be even more removed than the oldest elf, and start to realize a little bit of what that must mean. You also realize that one of the things he's extremely set in is this like I stoicism isn't quite the right word. This having set aside all of his care for whatever his life used to be. He showed you his past. He still clearly remembers it, but just your absolute failure to detect anything different about him. Anything different in his bearing, any pensiveness in his expression, anything of the sort. since bringing up the things that you did, convinces you that he has just a fairly inhuman level of discipline about it. You know, third day, you don't run into him as much. The only thing you really notice is that, like, you know, Colleen's getting under his skin a little bit. Not necessarily unpleasantly, but just like, I mean, he's certainly acting annoyed about it. Like, you overhear them small talking, and you think what it might be is just that she's bringing out old habits that sort of died during his long imprisonment, and you don't necessarily think there's more to it than that, at least not that you can detect.
I think that last day, because if is Fallon going to sleep on the deck every night? This is an important note.
Is it raining every night?
Only on the nights that it rains.
It's 3 days, right?
Yeah, so that next morning when you were training on the deck, it cleared up again. It continues to sort of flit between just being cloudy and like lightly raining the entire time. So like it would rain part of the night.
Yeah, Fallon sleeps on the deck.
Okay. Well, since Quiz has a room to himself, that last night he's gonna sit down and look at his book, decide not to write in it, and instead take out the Book of Shadows and craft a message for our dear Ella.
Mm-hmm.
Which he's gonna say, Tom's a complicated companion to have in our party. We went to the place where his story began. We found a detestable act he committed, brought it before him, and he wasn't remorseful. Then he's going to wait a little bit, and then he's going to write, he killed his own child for some form of gain. I want in on whatever plan you're concocting, Ella. I want in on the details. I want in on everything so that I can be ready to act at the exact perfect time. I won't tell the other three, but I want in.
All right.
Did I get you?
No.
Okay.
Some time passes. And then like actually a small paragraph comes back to you. Actually, you know what? Let's switch to Casey's office. I'm gonna do this without the others listening in.
No.
Be back in a
What
moment.
I want to hear. How dare.
Hey, sweet cheeks.
Hey there. All right.
I like to think that's in the recording.
Oh, it is. It totally is.
Good.
All right. So what you get back, basically, I'll just paraphrase rather than try to give you the exact wording. You get back that she and Tirsa have been debating how to manage this. Essentially, Ella believes that the Ashal, and I mean, mind you, she might say some things indirectly, but this is what you can pretty clearly gauge from what she says. She thinks they're quite powerful, frankly, too powerful for you to take on. They have a fairly large organization. They have some very powerful people. They've had time to entrench themselves. And moreover, like, you seem to be going after their turf. So, home field advantage. She thinks that the best way to help you with it is actually to put Dom on his own. And she relates to you that she is actually younger than him, but she knows the stories and she knows what he's capable of left to his own devices. So, as related before, she simply wants to separate you from him and put him in a position to start causing trouble. She also relates that that she does not intend for you to, give him any of the vestiges. Let me think here. Everything she knows of him says that he's as good to his word as one of the Fae in a bargain that he struck. So if he's made a bargain to work with you, then she thinks he'll stick to it. But the instant that he has good reason to believe that the bargain is over, he'll do what he wants. So she thinks it's important that you're separated fairly suddenly. She had in mind kind of a dramatic way of making this happen. Tirsa simply suggested that after an operation, that they have in mind, along with a group of people that she has influence with inside the Ashal Megocracy. At the end of that operation, Tirsa simply wants to arrange for Dom to sort of fall behind the rest of your group on the way out. So what she wants you to do is, first of all, help convince your party, if necessary, help convince your party to participate in the proposal that you will hear about once you arrive to Balhir and meet with Tirsa and the group that she's currently with. After that, she wants to make sure that you all quickly get to your evacuation ship, basically, and leave for the next place you're going, and do not wait for Dom. And she says, and she finally relates, and if we wind up having to go with the dramatic option, well, ultimately for you it winds up with being the same thing. Do the job, get out.
I am going to soak that in because I wasn't expecting that. And then I'm going to tell her about showing Colleen the dead body and how Colleen seems to be, to some extent, attached to Dom.
Mm-hmm.
And how he feels confident he could convince Kane and Fallon to follow his lead, but less confident he could convince Colleen.
Okay. Let me think here. She writes back to you. I have a backup plan, but sounds like it's best if you don't try to convince Colleen directly. Do what you can. I'll try and take care of the rest.
He's going to read that. He's going to think for a little bit. He's going to say, I support you unconditionally. But once Dom's out of the group, I think we need to have that conversation.
She writes back, if you can make your way to where I am, I can tell you more. And then I gather that you found some way to navigate the Feywild.
Is that the end of the message?
It was with a question mark, though. But yeah, that's the end of the message. So it was like a question. I gather that you found some way to navigate the Feywild.
Oh, I got it. It just, for your mic made it sound like it cut you off.
Gotcha.
So I was making sure. And he says, wizard never reveals his true secrets.
You get right. You get back in parentheses smirks. And then, can you say anything about an entrance that you know of?
What was that? One more time.
Can you say anything about an entrance that you know of?
I tell her briefly about the book I found.
Okay. And from that, you get back, and this is a decent time later, actually, like several minutes pass to where you're wondering if, she's now just moved on to something else. But then all at once, you see two maps appear. One basically appears to mark the entrances that you know about, and shows some sort of navigation to a like just rough directions to a location within the Autumn Feywild. And then the second one is a drawing of, and actually on this you're not quite sure at first glance. Give me, I guess, call it history. For map reading. Oh shit. All right. It looks for all the world like a giant bramble or thorn bush. Except it's drawn around a building and it appears to be mapping like a specific path through it. And then below that, some text comes in as well. And it says, here's how to find me.
I'll just respond, I'll see you soon. And before the text does the text disappear? Is that the eventually?
It fades, but it's still visible.
Yeah. I want to do my best to take one of my pieces of parchment and trace exactly what she drew.
Okay, well, I mean, so like it remains on the page is what I'm saying. It doesn't like fade all the way, but like it's very vivid when it first comes in, and then it sort of dulls.
Okay, I was under the impression that these messages would like happen and then like Snapchat go away.
Right. Give me perception. Or actually, no. I'm sorry. Give me investigation. Give me investigation.
Yeah, I clicked the wrong one anyways, so.
Okay. all you know is you've still got plenty of pages left. The other thing that comes in, it says, and by the way, let me just emphasize, I do know I'm playing with fire here.
He's gonna think on that for a long time. And then just respond. But at least you're not alone. And he'll wait for a while, and if she responds in that time, fine. If not, he'll go to bed.
Yeah, to that, let me think here. Okay, yeah, you don't actually receive a response to that.
That's fine. Quiz goes to bed.
All right, let's jump back to the other channel.
Unboxing little toys and playing with them.
Hey there, everybody.
Yeah.
Hours.
Hi,
Hello.
Dr. Nick.
Oh. Hello.
You're back. We thought you died.
Yeah, it went a little longer than I expected, but you know, it was fun.
For every second in Casey's office, 10 hours passed.
I'm
It's
sorry.
the hyperbolic stranger.
That's amazing.
That rhymed so good. I like it.
That's amazing.
You should rename that from Casey's office to the hyperbolic stranger chamber.
chamber. Do it, Casey.
Can names be that long?
I think
Let's find out.
Let's make an exception.
Yes, it's close enough. We know what it means.
All right. Okay. So let's quiz. You good? I'm gonna jump to Kane. All right. Kane, you using your 3 days for anything in particular?
Well, did I learn magic?
Oh, right. Let me think.
I rolled a 6.
You learned how to make hand gestures that feel magic-y.
Cool. All right. So I'm not doing that. I'm writing stuff. I'm writing down everything.
Yep, you can totally fill your 8 pages.
And then I'm gonna ask for. Do I run out of when do I run out of the 8 pages? When do they get full?
Wait, I'm sorry. Do you say when?
Yeah, like do they fill up or before the 3 days is up?
I mean, like you can totally fill 8 pages in one day if you set your mind to it.
All right, then I'm gonna ask for more paper. Hey, Colleen,
Kane.
get some more paper.
I
I filled up my pages.
have one piece of paper.
Oh,
Hey, Colleen, can I have like 3 sheets of paper?
Get your own paper, you guys.
we haven't been to a town.
I need this for my grocery list.
I need to write a letter.
Oh,
Who? To who?
damn it. I give my one piece to Valen.
What? He's lying.
Sentimental value. I'm easy and I don't make insight checks.
How's he gonna send a letter?
Unless it's Kane.
There's no fucking postal service to go back to Einongrun.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, quiz. Hey, quiz.
You're muted, maybe, or not responding.
He's not muted.
Oh, sorry. My mic was.
Oh, okay.
I'm rapidly making fish bait and didn't want to hear the clicking. I said absolutely not, and I walk away.
But
Don't.
Keep it right.
Don't. Do not push me. This is my paper.
I'll pay you back.
No, I have things to write too, Kane. I am a storyteller. This is what I do. Do not push me.
You could just like remember it for a little
Kane.
bit.
I really give him a strong, stern look.
The strongest and sternest of the and yet he persisted.
Kane, if you ask one more time, I will cast Dominate Person on you and tell you to go be the lookout
Oh, wow.
in the crow's nest for the rest of the day.
Fine.
Is this more of you trying to write down stuff so you don't forget?
Yes.
Uh,
Because like the power that I have yet to actually use that much so far, there's a potential side effect of amnesia, of the permanent nature.
Tell you what, Kane, the next town we're in, I will buy you more paper.
I need all the paper, lots of it.
Well, all the paper in the world would be very heavy and really inconvenient.
Actually,
but I
according
will
to the
buy you-
player's handbook, all the paper in the world weighs 0.
Never mind, we're taking it all.
Everything. Alright,
Yeah,
I guess
total
just fill up an
control
ink
over
too.
Spread of knowledge, the world.
But speaking of writing though, are you still writing that book of yours?
Of course.
And it's just our adventures.
Well, it's the adventures of Quizmilligus the Almighty, of which you are a part of.
Yeah, it's like already bound and everything. It's just a bunch of loose sheets of paper.
I have a string tied around them.
I see. Okay. Well, I'll just go practice my magic then.
All right.
Kane walks away.
Quiz looks terribly concerned when he says that, and then mumbles to himself, "Maybe I should have gave him the paper."
And then Kane will steal a book.
You'll steal a book?
Steal his book.
Oh.
He's writing. That night, I steal it.
Okay. All right. Let me see how this goes.
Oh boy, I'm not emotionally prepared for this.
Okay, wait. So you're waiting until Quiz is sleeping, I presume, and then just sneaking in and trying to snatch it?
Yeah, but before I do it though, I'm gonna swap out cloaks and put
Okay.
on my cloak of Elvenkind
All right. All
to
right.
get that advantage on my stealth back.
Yep. Yep.
Just in
Right, so
case.
Casey, so you know, my passive perception, I can't find it. That's 14.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make this active perception. That being said, if he's waiting until you're sleeping, it's going to be. Well, actually, no. Wait. First, we have to see if Kane correctly judges when Quiz is asleep. So for that, Kane, I need you to give me investigation.
Damn it, Casey! I can't just wait till like super late at night. Making me roll an intelligence-based check.
I mean, in fairness, I was gonna give it to you on like not utter shit. Basically, like if you would have rolled a 2, I would have given it to you. But
Okay.
I was gonna make you roll anyway, and you did have a chance of failing that. Just getting impatient and underestimating how long it would take Quiz to go to
Yeah, it
sleep.
sounds like me.
All right. So with that, then, Kane, stealth, Quiz, perception with disadvantage because you're sleeping.
Yep.
Yeah. Kane, you ghost into the room. You fairly easily find the bound pieces of parchment. I don't know. Probably ghost out to a place where you can read them better. It is now the wee hours. It's the wee hours of the morning. So.
I go with Fallon up.
Well, hold on a sec. Oh wait, I forgot to decide which was which. Let me do that again. Okay, it's not raining. So, yep, you steal away to Fallon.
Fallon. Fallon.
What?
Got his book. The one he's
Really?
writing. Yes.
Let's read it.
Okay, so as you unravel it at the top in really fancy, like that episode of SpongeBob writing, you
The
see the adventures of Quizmilligus the Almighty. But then you see a byline, and it says by Lyle Highhill.
Oh. Quiz didn't write this.
That's
I
great.
think this is called plagiarism. I'm not sure.
Let's continue.
So I'm going to give you the footnotes clearly. The first section is about him growing up in a town called Jabberwocky in the Halfling territory. Small farming town, not a lot going on. Single child to two older parents. After they passed away, he moved to the more capital region of Hearthstone, where you find out that he worked at a bar as a bartender for a. Wow, this is going to be a lot of quiz information. Holy shit. Where he works as a bartender for quite some time. However, he became the bar kind of rose in popularity when Quiz worked there because Quiz, to entertain the guests, would tell stories about a character he made up named Quizmilligus the Almighty. And and it helped rise the bar's popularity. The owner was doing very good business. People started jokingly calling Quiz at that point in time instead of his name, which is Lyle. And
Lyle is Quiz.
Then it talks about, and I forget. Casey, do you offhand remember the guy's name?
Oh, give me just a sec. I have it right here.
I don't have my computer. Would take forever to.
Teofil.
Yeah. Then he writes about a guy who was kind of the leader of the guard named Teofil, who was kind of disgusted by Quiz's stories. Yeah, Teofil Greenwood. And you read about a time where Quiz was essentially out back, and Teofil and his group of guards essentially jumped Quiz, slicing him just below his eye and dragging him by his neck for quite some time. And if you guys recall, Quiz has a scar just beneath one of his eyes and around his neck. And that night, barely surviving with his life, Quiz decided to leave Hearthstone and made his way to Citadel, where he essentially did the exact same thing. Found a bar, told stories. People, at this point, he was pretty much going by Quiz, or Quizmilligus the Almighty, pretty much full time. And he writes about meeting Ella, and he writes about meeting this wonderful gnomish lady. They eventually fall in love. There's a bunch of fluff. He spends a lot of time in this section. You find out they eventually move to Spiru in the gnome territory, where they open their own tavern. He continues telling stories about Quizmilligus the Almighty. And then he writes about one day he woke up and Ella was just gone for no reason. I don't know who that is. And then he kind of made his way to what's that town?
Oh, just a sec. I'll bring up the
The map will
Map
help.
again.
Sorry, Casey.
Rampart.
Yeah, he makes his way to Rampart to try and start doing research. Also, another important note that would have happened in Citadel after he met Ella and started spending a lot of time with her is when he started to actually notice he has some form of magical powers, and wasn't 100% sure why. At that point in time, he just attributed it to him being awesome. So he goes to Rampart. He meets a librarian who helps him kind of figure a few things out, and he ends up making his way to Onissa, where he meets a dragonborn lady who essentially tells him she knows how he can get the answer he's looking for, which is where is Ella. He writes a bit about, didn't he make a pledge, Casey? It's been a long time since we did that.
Yeah, I've got that as well. Give me just a sec.
Yeah.
Oh, not that. Okay, here it is. So, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Basically to help the group is basically what you pledged. And
Yeah.
like in return you'd get, help on your thing.
So essentially he makes a pledge to help you guys, gets a little extra power, and then wakes up in Siren, right? Yes. That's where I met the group.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He writes about meeting a ragtag group. There's a real big, tough guy, somewhat of a lazy slacker with a cute pup. He writes about an annoying blue guy and a seemingly ditzy wizard. And then from there, it's our adventure since Quiz joined, which you guys know. He's not terribly kind to Kane. Fallon, he's nicer too, and throughout the book is more the comic relief. He spends quite a bit of time talking about Colleen during the where she saved Tavrith. You do notice that his tone towards Kane changes a little bit when we meet Kane's dad. And the book stops right as we're fighting the zombie beholder thing.
So I remember one of the other times when you talked about writing in your book, you talked about making Quiz the hero in all the moments, basically.
Yeah. So after he meets you, everything that happened essentially was like he got the last hit on everything. He's saving people's lives. You know what I mean? Like, so it's the same story, but it's very much Quiz as the main character rather than us working as a team, if that makes sense. So like when you're reading all of this, even the parts about his past, which are very honest, it's still about like, at first he's this troubled guy. It's very much like the hero's journey kind of story. And yeah, when he joins your group, it's very much he's now the leader. You know what I mean? It's very much that attitude of writing.
Oh, and side note, when Quiz said he woke up and he was with a Dragonborn, Kane, that is the same Dragonborn that you know, and he's the Dragonborn who actually introduced Quiz to your party way back when.
There was also an old lady Dragonborn in Onissa, though.
There was.
Yeah. But the Dragonborn I met in Siren is someone Kane knows.
That bastard called me annoying. I'm not annoying, right?
Fallon said, I mean, I just thought this was a very accurate tale. And
He didn't do half the things in those fights he says he did.
you don't remember it that way?
What? No. What? That's not how that happened.
Also, scroll down on the map.
Yes. That's me. I can move it around. It was me. I was excited.
Clearly.
But it's like, wait, no, this isn't how it happened at all. Look, right here, like, I'm trying to remember what price we were in Quiz.
Well, I mean, every good book probably needs to be looked over by another party. Maybe you could write in some notes for him.
Yes.
Oh no.
Oh, that's not gonna end well.
Wait.
Or wait.
Hold on.
He doesn't know you have his book, right?
No.
Right.
But does
Okay.
Kane have the foresight to
Well,
stop himself?
do you care that he knows or doesn't know?
Well, I assume as soon as he knows it's missing, he's gonna
You're not-
assume it's me, no matter what.
You're not gonna put it back.
Well, I need to make the notes, right?
Well, I mean, if we read it that quickly, I assume you could.
I have a better idea. What if we try and be subtle about it, you know? Like we just say stuff to like hint at it.
That's the
We
obvious
know a lot about Quiz now. We could play the long con here.
path.
Lyle will never see it coming.
Yeah. You know what? I've got an idea. Let's just put it back and we'll work on it.
Alright, I go.
Is Lila Lyle.
What was the last name? Lyle
High Hill.
High Hill. Okay.
I go put the book back.
Or I guess, how would you capitalize that? Would it be double capital H? Is it compound
you're-
word?
Are you
You're right
hyphen?
the
Are you?
first
Did your parents hyphenate your last name? Hyphenate. One was High, one was Hill.
So
Lie.
I picked that name because it was just in the player's handbook as a good halfling name. And it seemed like the most boring name I could think to find.
Brodo Fraggins.
That
Okay.
sounds just like a Chad version of Frodo. Yo, Frodo.
Bruno. Oh my god.
Brodo Fraggins.
Oh gosh.
That's
me see.
Radiclus' name on Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I-
Brodo Fraggins. Oh no.
Oh wait.
I'm sure it's taken.
Where'd
There's
you
no way.
find it? I don't see it in the place. Anyways, it's something like that anyway. All right.
I'll put the book back.
All right. Give me stealth one more time. Quiz, give me perception with disadvantage one more time.
Sure.
Well,
Oh yeah, Kane has reliable talent on this, so he actually cannot possibly fail this.
Yeah.
I cannot roll lower than a 25. So.
Yep. All right. Cool. Yep. You slip in. You put it back. Actually, let me check one more thing. You know what? Actually, no. No. Kane, give me intelligence.
No. Wait, hold on. Hold on.
Roll intelligence.
What day is it right now?
Tuesday.
I mean, I think it's like the first,
Like
like
into our 3-day journey.
yeah, it's the first night of the 3 days. Is what I imagined.
I will roll intelligence.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna roll intelligence. See what happens.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
I made it a low
Wait.
check, so you're good. You remember to put it back in the same position that you took it from.
Oh, okay.
That's all it was.
I was ready to use my special power. That's what I was looking at.
That's funny. That's funny.
I get 2 exhaustion points for the first day, so I'm good.
Okay. Yep. All right. So you have that little misadventure. Anything else?
I guess with the rest of my time, I'll just, I don't know, I'm gonna show off my bangles to the tiefling. Be like, hey, look at this. Wah,
Okay.
wah.
Give me.
Like they can turn into the.
Actually, no. Okay. So yeah. Levy is duly impressed. Quickly
I'm
gets.
gonna convince her there. I'm gonna convince the one that's learning magic that it's my magic, that I know magic too, by doing this.
Deception.
Okay. $22.
Oh, you have reliable talent on that?
Yeah.
Man, you have reliable talent on so many things.
Well, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 things. 6 things.
Yeah, geez.
Things that involve mostly like looking cool and lying.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, it's not that unbelievable. So like they take you at your word. Like I said, Levy seems like duly impressed. Gets back to what she was doing, but does. Skarn, for his part, is just like, that's cool, basically.
Yeah.
Have not seen that before. Zykus, meanwhile, after you have this little show-off session, he just says, I've not seen that before. How do you do that?
I do some magic hands that I learned while watching Glee
Yep.
the first day. And just say, you gotta just do it, just like, and just kind of explain, but in a bullshitty way about how I do it. You know, so you just gotta make sure you gotta channel the more like elemental magics.
He nods slowly.
Yes.
Says, well, you all certainly have shown us quite a few things since you arrived. He shrugs. Neat.
All right. Now I want to go to the captain.
Okay.
Guys,
I'll say at this moment, middle of the second day, you find him sort of like up on the deck near the steering, just sort of double checking, make sure you're going in the right direction.
Hey, Captain.
Hmm?
You've been sailing for a long time, right?
It's been a number of years.
You can probably hold your breath for a really long time, huh?
His eyes narrow a little bit. Says, not sure, he thinks for a moment. It's not like I spend all my time overboard, Kane. Actually try to stay out of the water.
But I mean, you know, sailors, they gotta know how to swim and stuff and
He shrugs.
whatnot.
Sure.
I just like to fancy myself a strong swimmer, and that includes being able to hold my breath for a very long time. So
Okay.
whenever I get the chance, I like to put my money where my mouth is. Challenge other seaworthy folk to old contest of breath holding.
His eyes narrow. It's an awfully specific contest to bring up.
Everyone's got their weird talents.
He thinks for a moment. And he says, fine. I'll tell you what, I'll wager you 5 gold on that if you wager 10 gold in a contest of my choosing.
Ooh, interesting. I'm in.
All right. He says, okay, so what? Do we need a judge for the breath holding or something?
Yes, yeah. Get one of your crewmen to judge this competition.
Okay, I mean, so, Zykos is basically the slave of the ship, so he just waves. Sorry, it was a little insensitive, I guess, but he the indentured servant, sure. He raises his hand and says, "Hey, Zykos, come here for a moment, if you would. I need you to adjudicate a breath holding contest." Huh? Just come over here. He comes over, you get ready to go. All right, and it's a breath holding contest. And I know that you don't have to roll for this. I'm going to roll for Skarn. I don't know. What
But
is-
like, I'm gonna make it seem like I'm getting close. Like I'm gonna start kind of squirming a bit.
Sure.
Tense up some.
So he does above average. He holds his breath for about maybe a bit north of a minute and a half. Finally, you hear him sort of expel his breath, and he clearly didn't go quite as long as he could have. Like he's not gasping for air or anything like that. But he looks up at you and said, "Yeah, I had a feeling I was losing that one."
I'm gonna exhale, but I'm gonna be like pant a little bit harder. It's like you didn't really. You gave up too early. Look at you. You're barely out of breath.
Well, I could sort of tell that you weren't struggling much, and to be honest, I kind of expected to lose that bet when I took it.
So it's your challenge.
He pulls out a piece of parchment. And...
Oh, you have paper?
It's better than gold.
He says,
Can I get some of that paper after this?
he says, perhaps you can.
Okay.
For the time being, so he finds the nearest flat surface and puts it down. This contest is going to be reading in the dark. He snaps a finger, and you are enshrouded in magical darkness. This being magical darkness, let me remind you how the darkness spell works.
Huh. That's something.
So the key point of a darkness spell is that dark vision doesn't help you. So, he says, all right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to write down a number on the parchment on the left side of it here. I'll pass the quill over to you. You write down a number on the right. And just to give you a fighting chance, we'll keep it between 1 and 9. And, right. First person to guess wrong loses. Hey, I didn't say it had to be an interesting competition.
This is very interesting.
He writes down a number. He passes the quill to you.
I'm gonna write down 2.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So he says, all right, your number is 2. What's mine?
All right. I say that you wrote 1.
The darkness dissipates, and you see him. He has his hand on the parchment, and just to the right of his hand, you can see a single vertical stroke. And then he pulls his hand away, revealing the left hook of the number 7. He says,
Here, no, I was gonna say 7. I decided to say 1 instead. No.
He says, he shrugs and says, glad to see that extra work on the dark vision came in handy. Honestly, I thought that would be way more useful when I worked out that ability a while back.
Wait, you can see in the dark.
including magical darkness.
Well, that's just true.
Yeah, I thought
Glad I went to
I
the
thought it
clerk's
would
leave
be
to use some
cool
paper.
when I was younger. He says, right about that. So, my 5 gold.
Right. You give him 5.
He says, and I'll tell you what, seeing how that was perhaps less than fair, he thinks for a moment. 5 gold would normally get you what? 50 sheets of parchment? Come down with me.
Okay.
And he comes down and he gives you 50 sheets of parchment.
Yes. Okay, spend the first time writing.
Okay. You wasted some time that day. You write out another 10 sheets of parchment. You've got quite a bit of the people you know documented at this point.
I should have said 7. I was gonna say it, Casey.
That's funny.
I was gonna. My brain, I thought 7. No. 1.
For the record, I just rolled for it, so.
I'm so sad. I almost guessed correctly. That would be awesome.
All right. Let me see. Given how much of time you're spending writing, I imagine that's mostly your 3 days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and go to Fallon. Fallon, did you have anything in particular in mind for your 3 days?
It took me 3 days, but I wrote a letter to Anya with a piece of paper that Colleen gave me.
Oh.
I'm making a heart sign with my hands right now.
Yeah, your camera's not working.
Yeah, I know.
On purpose?
No. Okay.
But yeah, that's all I get up to.
Okay. Good enough. So, yeah, you all pass 3 days on the ship. Oh, hey, the camera is working now. I hadn't bothered to refresh it for a while. On the 4th morning, rather early, you awake to breakfast and the sight of land actually quite nearby. It's not long before you've pulled up on the shore. Skarn takes a quick moment to sort of give you your bearings. You have reached the floodplain, and that is where we're going to end for tonight.
Der Flutplan.
Der Flutplan. Good night, recording.